There is a moment in every person's life where the world as they know it ends. For some, it is a sudden crash of business failure, a broken heart, or a lost dream. For others, it is a slow erosion of hope. In the United Kingdom and the United States, we are taught to fear the ruin. We are taught that if things fall apart, we have failed. But the sovereign mind understands that the ruin is the most important side of construction. You cannot build a skyscraper on top of a hut. The old version of you must be leveled. The ground must be cleared, and the debris must be hauled away before the true architecture of greatness can begin. The king of the inner ruin is the man who stands amidst the smoke of his past and decides that he is not a victim of the fire, but the architect of the reconstruction. Most people spend their lives trying to protect a version of themselves that is no longer working. They cling to the bad habits, the toxic friends, and the small-minded beliefs because they are afraid of the empty space that remains when those things are gone. But in 2026, the empty space is your greatest asset. It is in the silence of the ruin that you finally hear the truth. It is here that you realize that your value was never tied to your external achievements, but to your internal frequency. The alchemy of the inner lens allows you to look at a pile of ash and see the raw materials for a diamond. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience. You are not rebuilding. You are evolving. Think about the great cathedrals of London that were rebuilt after the Great Fire. They didn't just put back the old stones. They built something more magnificent, more enduring, and more beautiful than what was there before. Your life is no different. Every time you are knocked down, you have the opportunity to upgrade your foundation. You can install a stronger sense of discipline. You can build a more resilient social filter. You can design a mindset that is immune to the fluctuations of the market or the opinions of the crowd. The ruin is where the weak fold, but it is where the elite are forged. You must learn to love the pressure. You must learn to welcome the challenge. Because without the heat of the struggle, you will always be just a piece of coal. In the Western world, we see a massive rise in fragility. People are easily offended, easily distracted, and easily defeated. But you are being called to a different standard. You are being called to be the stone that the builders rejected. You are being called to be the pillar that stays standing when the roof falls in. This level of internal strength is not a gift. It is a choice. It is the choice to get up at 4 in the morning when your body is screaming for sleep. It is the choice to speak the truth when it is unpopular. It is the choice to stay loyal to your vision when everyone else thinks you are crazy. This is the sovereign code. It is a silent contract you sign with your own soul, and it is the A contract that truly matters. Stop looking for someone to come and save you. No one is coming to rebuild your empire. No one is coming to hand you the keys to the kingdom. You are the only one with the blueprints. You are the only one with the tools. The world doesn't owe you anything, and that is the most liberating truth you will ever discover. When you realize that you are the sole creator of your reality, you stop complaining and you start building. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what am I going to do with this? This shift in perspective is the difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of legend. As you stand in your current season of life, look at what has fallen away. Do not mourn it. Do not try to glue the broken pieces back together. Look at the space that has been created. Look at the horizon that is now visible because the old walls are gone. You are the king of the inner ruin. You are the master of the void. Take the first stone, lay it with precision, lay it with purpose, and do not stop until the world has no choice but to look up at the monument you have built. The architecture of the unseen is becoming the legend of the seen. Stay in your power. Stay in your light. Build for eternity. Have you ever felt like your world was crumbling around you? Like the life you so carefully built, piece by piece, has been reduced to rubble? Maybe it was a job loss, the end of a relationship, a failed dream, or a moment that just broke you. You look at the wreckage and think, how can I ever come back from this? I've been there. I know that hollow feeling in the pit of your stomach, the weight of the debris pressing down on you. It feels impossible. It feels final. But I want to tell you something today. Something I had to learn the hard way. Ruin is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the most fertile ground you will ever have for growth. Think about it. When a forest burns down, it seems like total devastation. But what happens next? From the ashes, new life springs forth. Stronger, and more resilient than before. The fire clears out the old undergrowth, making way for sunlight to reach the forest floor. Your personal ruins are no different. They clear away what was no longer serving you, even if you couldn't see it at the time. The first step, and often the hardest, is to simply sit with the rubble. Don't rush to clean it up. Don't pretend it isn't there. Grieve. Be angry. Be sad. Acknowledge the pain of what you've lost. So many of us try to immediately fix things, to slap a bandage on a gaping wound. But you can't build a new foundation on unsettled ground. You have to honor the demolition process. This period of sitting in the wreckage is where you find the most profound lessons. What went wrong? What was I ignoring? What part of me was I compromising to keep that old structure standing? These are not easy questions, but the answers are the blueprints for your new life. I remember after a major setback in my career, I spent weeks just feeling lost. Everything I had identified with was gone. I felt like a ghost in my own life. I'd walk past buildings and see demolition sites, and for the first time, I didn't see destruction. I saw potential. I saw a blank slate. That's when my perspective started to shift. I realized I wasn't a victim of circumstance. I was an architect standing before an empty lot, holding a set of blueprints I hadn't even dared to look at before. This is your architect moment. Once you've mourned what was, it's time to start dreaming about what could be. And here's the beautiful part. You get to choose every single brick. You're not just patching up the old house. You're building a brand new one, designed for the person you are now and the person you want to become. Maybe the old house had small windows because you were afraid to be seen. Your new house can have floor-to-ceiling glass. Maybe the old foundation was weak because it was built on someone else's expectations. This new foundation will be built on your values, your truths, your unshakable core. So, how do you start? One brick at a time. It's that simple and that daunting. Your first brick might be getting out of bed when you don't want to. Your next might be going for a walk. Another might be calling a friend, or picking up a book, or applying for a new job, or writing the first sentence of your novel. These bricks might seem small and insignificant on their own, but when you lay them day after day, with intention and purpose, they start to form a wall. And soon, you'll have a room, then a floor, then a home. During this rebuilding process, you will discover a strength you never knew you possessed. This isn't the fragile strength of a life that has never been tested. This is the deep, resilient strength of someone who has seen the worst and decided to build anyway. It's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can survive a collapse. You learn that your identity isn't tied to the structure. It's tied to the builder. The builder is you, and the builder can always rebuild. People will notice the change. They'll see the light coming from your new windows. Some might be inspired. Others might be confused, wondering how you bounced back. The secret is that you didn't bounce. You rebuilt. Bouncing back implies returning to what you were before. Rebuilding means becoming something entirely new, something stronger. You're not the same person who lived in that old house, and that is your superpower. Look around at the ruins of your past, not with despair, but with gratitude. Thank them for the lessons they taught you. Thank them for clearing the way. See them for what they are. The raw materials for your masterpiece, the jagged edges, the broken pieces, the dust-its. All part of your story. And now, you get to use those materials to construct a life that is authentically, unapologetically yours. Don't be afraid of the work ahead. It will be hard. There will be days when you feel like you've run out of bricks, when the storm comes and threatens your new walls, but you will hold. Because this time, you know what you're made of. You are not the building that fell. You are the architect, the construction crew, and the unbreakable foundation, all in one. You found your strength not in spite of the ruin, but because of it. If you're feeling overwhelmed and don't know where to start, please remember it's a sign of strength, not weakness, to ask for help. Talking to a friend, a family member, or a mental health professional can provide you with the support and tools you need to begin your rebuilding journey. You don't have to lay every brick alone. There are resources available, like the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which you can reach by dialing 988 in the US and Canada, or the International Association for Suicide Prevention, which can connect you to resources in your country. Your well-being is the most important foundation of all. So pick up your first brick. What will it be? What's the one small, intentional act you can take today to begin building the life you truly deserve? The ground is clear. The plans are in your hands. It's time to build. Thank you for listening. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking and subscribing for more content to help you build your best life. The world is a graveyard of ideas that were never acted upon. In the power centers of London and the innovation hubs of America, the difference between the legend and the ghost is one thing: the first strike. Most people spend their lives in a state of perpetual preparation. They are waiting for the perfect weather, the perfect bank balance, and the perfect approval from their social circle. But the king of the inner ruin knows that perfection is a trap designed by the timid to keep the brave from ever leaving the shore. When you are standing in the middle of your ruins, you don't need a perfect plan. You need a brutal, uncompromising movement. You need to strike the ground with such force that the universe has no choice but to acknowledge your return. This first strike is not just an action. It is a psychological declaration of war against your own limitations. It is the moment you stop trying and start imposing your will upon reality. In the year 2026, we are surrounded by people who are addicted to the analysis of paralysis. They study the market, they study the competition, and they study their own trauma until they are too exhausted to move. But the sovereign mind operates on a different law, the law of momentum. You don't get the energy to start, you get the energy because you started. The moment you lay that first stone in the mud of your ruin, the alchemy begins. The weight of the stone gives you the gravity of a creator. The sweat on your brow washes away the grime of your victimhood. You are no longer recovering, you are attacking. The architecture of the first strike requires a cold, clinical disregard for your own feelings. Your feelings will tell you that you are still tired from the fire. Your feelings will tell you that the mountain is too steep. Your feelings will tell you that you are alone. But a king does not consult his feelings. He consults his mission. In the high-stakes environments of the UK and USA, the winners are the ones who have developed a functional disconnect from their own discomfort. They have realized that the first inch of the reconstruction is the heaviest, but it is also the most sacred. Every brick you lay when you do UNT, feel like it is worth 10 bricks laid when you are inspired. This is how you build an internal empire that is disaster-proof. You aren't building with stone. You are building with the repeated act of overcoming yourself. Let us look deeper into the silent handover of power. There's a moment in the reconstruction where the struggle stops being a burden and starts becoming a fuel. This is the integration of the shadow. You take the anger from your failure, the pain from your isolation, and the sting from those who doubted you, and you compress them into a concentrated beam of focus. You don't use your pain to cry. You use your pain to work. You become an industrialist of the spirit, converting the raw materials of your suffering into the finished products of your success. This is what the world calls genius, but you know it is simply transmutation. You have taken the very thing that was meant to destroy you and turned it into the engine that will propel you to heights the crowd can't even see. As you strike the world with your new vision, you must be prepared for the reaction of the average. When the people around you see you building amidst the ruins, they will try to pull you back. They will offer you realistic advice. They will tell you to take it slow. They will remind you of how much you lost. Do not hear them. Their voices are the echoes of the gravity that wants to keep you at the bottom. Your response to them should not be words, but the sound of your hammer. Let the rhythm of your progress be the only statement you make. In the philosophy of the elite, results are the only form of communication that cannot be misunderstood. While they are talking about the fire, you are showing them the skyscraper. The first strike is about the sovereignty of the now. Most people live in the then the memory of the past, or the anxiety of the future. But the king lives in the now, because the now is the only place where the architecture can be built. You must develop a hyper-focus that is so intense it blurs the world around you. You are not building for the next 10 years. You are building for the next 10 minutes. And when those 10 minutes are over, you do it again. This is the compound interest of greatness. Small, brutal, consistent strikes that eventually level mountains. The world thinks success is a thunderbolt. You know, it is the relentless dripping of water that eventually carves a canyon through solid rock. Stay in the ruin until the ruin is no longer a site of tragedy, but a site of wonder. Stay in the silence until the silence is no longer a void, but a symphony of your own making. The architecture of the unseen is reaching its crescendo. The world hasn't seen the finished structure yet, but they can feel the ground shaking. They can feel the shift in the atmosphere. The king isn't just back. The king has redefined what it means to rule. You are the architect. You are the builder. You are the legend. Keep striking. Keep building. The empire is inevitable. Have you ever stood in the middle of a ruin? I don't just mean ancient castles or forgotten cities. I mean the ruins of your own projects. The Hefferton novel collecting dust on your hard drive. The guitar in the corner with strings you never learned to play. The business plan you were so excited about, now buried under a mountain of emails. We've all been there, standing amidst the rubble of our own abandoned dreams. It's a lonely place, isn't it? Filled with the ghosts of what could have been. We are all architects of our own lives. We start with grand blueprints, visions of magnificent structures we want to build, a thriving career, a beautiful family, a creative masterpiece, a healthier body. We lay the first stone with a surge of excitement and passion. The initial work is thrilling. You can see the foundation taking shape, and the dream feels so close, so real. But then, the real work begins. The sun gets hot. The stones get heavy. The blueprint starts to look more complicated than you remembered. Doubts creep in like vines, winding their way through the cracks in your confidence. Is this even worth it? What if I fail? Maybe I should just start something else, something easier. And slowly, one by one, we walk away from our construction sites, leaving behind unfinished foundations and scattered materials. We become masters of starting, but amateurs at finishing. But I want you to look at those ruins differently. They aren't monuments to your failure. They are proof that you dared to dream. They are evidence that you had the courage to lay the first stone. The problem isn't the dream or the foundation. The problem is that we forget the most crucial part of being an architect. You have to see the project through to the very end. Think about it. No one celebrates an architect for a brilliant blueprint. No one marvels at a half-built wall. The world stands in awe of the finished cathedral, the completed skyscraper, the bridge that connects to shores. The magic, the legacy, the impact it all lies in the completion. Finishing is not just about ticking a box. It's an act of transformation. It's the process where a pile of raw materials becomes a work of art. So how do we become finishers? How do we turn our personal ruins into masterpieces? It starts by changing our perspective. Stop seeing the project as one giant, overwhelming mountain. Instead, see it as a series of single steps, one stone at a time. Your job today isn't to build the entire cathedral. Your job is just to lay the next stone, and then the one after that. When motivation fades, and it will, you need something stronger to take its place. Discipline. Discipline is the calloused hands of the stonemason who shows up every single day. Whether the sun is shining or the rain is pouring, it is the quiet promise you make to yourself to do the work even when you don't feel like it. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the slow-burning fire that keeps you warm through the long night. You also need to give yourself grace. Some days, you'll only be able to lay one small pebble. That's okay. Celebrate that pebble. It's one more piece in place than you had yesterday. Progress is not always a leap. Most of the time, it's a slow, steady crawl. Don't compare your construction site to someone else's finished palace. Their journey had its own challenges, its own moments of doubt. Focus on your own blueprint, your own stones. Imagine yourself years from now, looking back. What do you want to see? A field of abandoned foundations? Or do you want to stand in the halls of a structure you built with your own hands? A testament to your resilience and dedication. Every time you finish something, no matter how small, you build more than just a project. You build confidence. You build momentum. Each finished task becomes a foundation for the next, bigger challenge. The song you finally finish writing gives you the courage to produce a whole album. The 5K race you completed makes you believe you can run a marathon. The small business you successfully launched proves you have what it takes to build an empire. Finishing is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Let's go back to your ruins. Pick one. Just one. Dust off the blueprint. Look at it not with regret, but with renewed purpose. What is the very next stone you need to lay? Is it writing one paragraph? Making one phone call? Practicing for 10 minutes? Whatever it is, do it. Do it right now, after this video ends. Lay that one stone. Feel the weight of it in your hands. Feel the satisfaction of placing it exactly where it needs to go. That's the feeling of creation. That's the feeling of progress. That is you, the architect, taking back control of your project. The world doesn't need more dreamers who give up. It needs finishers. It needs people who have the grit and the heart to turn their beautiful visions into tangible reality. Your masterpiece is waiting. It's waiting for its architect to come back and finish the job. The tools are in your hands. The blueprint is in your heart. Go and build. Turn your ruins into a wonder. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more content to help you build your best life. I'll see you in the next one. The greatest danger to a king is not the struggle to reach the throne, but the comfort he finds once he's sitting upon it. In the high-performance cultures of the West, from the tech vanguards of Silicon Valley to the historic powerhouses of the United Kingdom, we see a recurring tragedy. The man who survives the ruin, builds the empire, and then loses his soul to the peace. The sovereign aftermath is the period that follows the victory. It is the moment the external fires have stopped burning and the world has finally acknowledged your dominance. Most people at this stage relax. They let their guard down. They stop auditing their lens. But the elite know that the peace is merely a different kind of war. It is a war against complacency. It is a war against the softness of the summit. The architecture of the unseen does not end when the building is finished. It shifts into the maintenance of the sacred. You have built a masterpiece from your ruins, but now you must become the guardian of the sanctum. This means you must develop a level of ruthless discernment that is even sharper than when you were alone. Now that you have a palace, everyone wants a key. Now that you have a garden, everyone wants to pick the fruit. You will be approached by the flatterers of the harvest people who were nowhere to be found when you were hauling stones in the mud, but who now speak of loyalty and shared vision. A king must have a memory that is as long as his vision. You do not owe a seat at your table to anyone who didn't help you build it. Your circle must remain as small as it was in the desert, because the weight of the crown is best shared with those who have also carried the weight of the cross. In 2026, the world is obsessed with sustainability, but the only sustainability that matters is the sustainability of your internal frequency. You must realize that your new life is a high-maintenance engine. It requires the constant fuel of discipline, the constant oil of self-reflection, and the constant tuning of a positive mind. If you stop the habits that built the empire will eventually return to the ruin. The alchemy is a continuous process. You must wake up every morning and reconquer the territory you already own. You must treat your success with the same hunger you treated your survival. This is the paradox of the sovereign. To keep what you have, you must act as if you have nothing. You must maintain the Struggle mindset, even in the midst of abundance. Let us speak of the eternal watchman. Even when the walls are high and the gates are strong, the king remains on the battlements. He is not looking for enemies to fight, but for drift to prevent. Drift is the slow, invisible process of losing your standards. It starts with one missed workout. It starts with one small lie. It starts with one day of allowing negative voices back into your sanctum. Before you know it, the cracks have returned. To prevent the drift, you must become a scientist of the spirit. You must monitor your internal atmosphere with obsessive detail. If you feel a drop in your frequency, you must treat it as a national emergency. You do not wait for the building to fall to fix the foundation. You strengthen the foundation every single day because you understand the immense value of what you have built. The legacy of the king of the inner ruin is not found in the stones of the palace, but in the code of the bloodline. You are now a point of origin. You are the ancestor of a new way of being. Your solitary walk, your survival of the fire, and your mastery of the reconstruction have created a genetic memory of resilience that will influence generations to come. In the UK and the USA, we talk about generational wealth, but you are building generational character. You are showing your children, your peers, and your followers that the human spirit is the only truly indestructible material in the universe. You are teaching them that a ruin is just a palace waiting for an architect. As the final echoes of this journey settle into your soul, understand that you are now part of the invisible elite. You are one of the few who stared into the void and didn't blink. You are one of the few who took the no-friend path and found the divine connection. You are one of the few who rebuilt an empire with nothing but a hammer and a dream. The world is yours, not because you conquered it, but because you conquered yourself. The architecture is eternal. The lens is perfect. The king is sovereign. The story does not end here, because a legend has no ending. It only has a continuous unfolding now. Stay in your strength. Stay in your silence. Stay in your sovereignty. The world is your canvas, and you are the master of the brush. Every breath you take is a masterpiece. Every thought you think is a foundation. You have moved beyond the need for motivation, for you have become the source of the fire itself. We have reached the final boundary of the architecture. We have walked through the fire, survived the isolation, and built the palace from the debris of our own destruction. But there is one final secret that the king must master before his reign is truly eternal. The realization that the empire you have built is not a destination, but a frequency. In the great historical narratives of the United Kingdom and the vast, pioneering spirit of the United States, we see that the greatest leaders never stopped at the victory. They understood that a sovereign mind is like a star. It does not shine to reach a goal. It shines because that is its nature. The infinite horizon is the understanding that your growth has no ceiling, your vision has no borders, and your spirit has no end. The final integration of the inner ruin is the understanding that the ruin was never your enemy. It was your greatest teacher. As you stand on the summit of your new life, looking back at the smoke of the past, you no longer feel pain. You feel a profound, quiet gratitude. You realize that the people who left you gave you the gift of space. The business that failed gave you the gift of wisdom. The loneliness that bit at your heels gave you the gift of You have reached the stage of the eternal return, where you can look at any future disaster and smile, because you know that you are the man who knows how to build. You are no longer afraid of losing everything, because you have discovered that everything you truly need is carried within the sanctuary of your own mind. In the year 2026, the world is looking for lighthouses, individuals who remain unshakable while the sea is in a rage. By finishing this architecture, you have become that lighthouse. Your life is no longer just a personal success, it is a public service. You are a living proof that the alchemy of the inner lens is real. You are a signal to every broken soul in the ruins of their own lives, but the fire is not the end. You show them that the silence is not a void, but a womb for greatness. Your legacy is not the money you made or the status you gained. Your legacy is the permission you give to others to be powerful. You have moved from dominance to transcendence. You are no longer fighting for a seat at the table. You are the one who provides the light for the entire room. Let this final script be the seal of the sovereign. As the words fade and the music swells to its final crescendo, let the weight of your own potential settle into your bones. You have survived the audit of the universe. You have passed the test of the desert. You have honored the law of the finished masterpiece. The architecture of the unseen is now a physical reality. When you walk out of this moment and into the rest of your life, do not walk as a man who is trying to survive. Walk as a man who has already won. Walk with the slow gravity of a king who knows his territory is secure. Walk with the quiet mercy of a man who knows he is unbreakable. The ruins are gone. The palace is standing. The kingdom is yours. But remember, the architect never truly sleeps. He is always refining, always observing, and always grateful for the fire that forced him to build. You are the king of the inner ruin, and your reign begins now. Not in the next year, not in the next month, but in the very next breath you take. The world is waiting for your next move. Make it with the precision of a master. Make it with the power of a legend. Make it with the love of a creator. The story of the ruin is over. The story of the empire has begun. Stay in your strength. Stay in your light. Stay in your sovereignty. The architecture is complete. The king is home. Your time is coming. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Don't just watch. Go out and prove them wrong. Thank you for being part of the journey. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.